Passover had come. Peter and John prepared the feast in a house in Jerusalem. Jesus and the disciples ate together in a large upstairs room. Jesus took a loaf of bread.
Take and eat this. It is my body which I will shed for your sins.
I don't think your mic is on.
Then he took a cup of wine.
Take and drink this. It is the blood which I will shed for your sins.
Jesus was troubled.
One of you will betray me.
The disciples looked at each other. They didn't know who he was talking about. Peter signaled John to ask Jesus who he was talking about.
Lord, who is it? The one whom I give this piece of bread.
Jesus gave the bread to Judas Iscariot. Just then Satan entered into Judas.
Do what you're going to do, and quickly.
After he took the bread, Judas quickly went out. It was nighttime.
I will only be with you a little longer. Here's the new commandment for you. Love one another just as I have loved you. You cannot come with me to where I'm going, but you'll follow me afterward.
Lord, why can't I follow you now? I'll lay down my life for you.
I'll tell you what you really do. Wait until the rooster crows tomorrow morning. By then, you will have rejected me 3 times.
In a garden called Gethsemane. They sang a hymn and went to the Mount of Olives, at a garden called Gethsemane.
Stay here. I will go over there and pray.
With Peter, James, and John, he went to pray.
Stay awake. I'm deeply saddened. Stay awake with me here.
And Jesus went aside alone. He threw himself on the ground praying.
My Father, why are you going to make me do this? But if this is what you want, I will give up what I want.
He found the 3 disciples sleeping.
Get up! Get up! It's time for me to go and be betrayed.
Judas Iscariot arrived at Gethsemane. With him was a large crowd with swords and clubs. They were sent by the leading priest.
The one I kiss is Jesus. Arrest him. Hello, teacher,
he said, and then kissed him. All the disciples ran from the garden, and Jesus was led away. A rooster crows, Peter weeps. They took Jesus into the high priest's house. Outside, the crowd waited. Peter joined them. A girl stared at him in the firelight.
He was with Jesus.
Woman, I do not know him.
Later, someone else said,
you is follow.
Man, I am not.
Then someone insisted,
He's from Galilee. I know this man was with Jesus.
Man, I don't know what you're talking about.
While Peter spoke, a rooster crowed. Jesus glanced at Peter. Jesus had mentioned that Peter would deny him. Peter remembered this, walked away, and bitterly wept. He should die. That night they mocked and beat Jesus. The next morning, the leaders and chief priests gathered. Guards brought Jesus to them. They asked,
Are you the Son of God? You say that I am.
There, he said himself, for this he should die.
They tied Jesus up and led him away. This man is innocent. The priests and leaders went to Pilate's palace. Pontius Pilate was the Roman ruler in Jerusalem. Jesus stood in front of Pilate as they accused him.
This man says that he, not your emperor, is our king.
Are you the Jews' king? You say that I am, but I came for only one reason, to bring the truth.
Herod is in charge of Galilee. Take him to Herod.
Herod was happy. He'd heard of Jesus and hoped he'd do a miracle for him. This was his chance. But Jesus didn't answer any of his questions. Herod and his soldiers treated him shamefully and mocked him. Finally, they sent him back to Pilate. Jesus arrived wearing a royal robe. This was a joke about Jesus being king.
This man has done no wrong. Herod doesn't seem to think so either. That is why he sent him back to me. He has done nothing worth dying for. I'll just whip him and let him go.
By this time, many people had gathered.
Away with him! Away with him! Let Barabbas out of prison instead!
Barabbas was a murderer, but Pilate still wanted to let Jesus go. But the crowd kept shouting,
Crucify him! Crucify him!
Pilate tried one more time, but they shouted him down. So Pilate let the murderer Barabbas out of prison. He then took Jesus, had him whipped, and gave him to the crowd. Crucified with criminals. They took Jesus away. The crowd made Simon of Cyrene carry Jesus' cross. Two criminals were led away to die with Jesus. At a place called the Skull, the men were nailed to crosses.